Hello. Um, it's me. I have not been using my Windows laptop for a while. I only use it for streaming and maybe some occasional programming on Windows, maybe. Mostly I'm using my Linux computer, which is behind me. So, today I'm going to be doing something. I'm going to finish what I started on a previous stream. I had previously made a stream, and the video is still on my YouTube and everything, where I was hacking Castle of the Winds, a Norse mythology game for Windows 3.1. Um, I was hacking it using chastehex, which is a program I featured in my last video. Basically, it's a command line hex editor that lets you do all kinds of really, really whack stuff. Now, in that video, I had shown how you can edit the bytes of any file without having to open up a graphical hex editor. Um, but um, what I did not cover in that video is how do you know which bytes to edit? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Castle of the Winds because this is a very good game. Most people don't know about it, and it's entirely hackable. Because this game was like in the maybe early 1990s, we're talking Windows 3.1 era, which I don't know exactly when that is, but it was before Windows 95. It's a very old game, and it doesn't really do anything to prevent you from cheating at the game. That's what's cool, is I'm very good at cheating at single player computer games from the 1980s and 90s. I'm just very good at that because it's easy. And I know hexadecimal and binary, so I have a very good idea of the math behind how to hack the files. But trying to explain the process to somebody sounds complicated, and it's really not. So what I'm going to do here, for most of this video, I'm going to be switching to my desktop view, so you will see my entire screen on my Windows 11 computer here. And you will see that I can run, I showed in the last video a little bit how I can run a 16-bit Windows game on Windows 11. It's really strange. So here's what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we're going to switch to desktop. I'm going to start up the game, Castle of the Winds. And you also see here, this is my OBS studio. So if anybody leaves a comment while I'm streaming here, I will try to reply to it. But I won't see it while I'm actually playing the game and hacking it. So um, before I begin with Castle of the Winds, I want to show you something very important here. So if I just go into my file browser here, and I still don't know very much about how to manage my files here, but if I go to, I always have to go to Documents, then I go to Chandler Klebs. Okay, so I'm going to go to the bin folder now. Here we see several files. I don't know if you can see them because it's kind of small. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open a terminal here because once I'm at a terminal, then we have some slightly larger text. In fact, what I may do is I may want to um, configure the settings. I want to make the font a little bit bigger just so that my people watching this video can read it, because that's important. So let's see, and I don't know hardly anything about, let's see here, where do I go? I should have done this before the stream, but we're just going to go with it. So okay, so appearance, so what, okay, it has a certain color scheme. Okay, the font face is called hack, and the font size is 20. Okay, so let's raise the size of the font to 24. Just make it a little bit bigger, just a little bit. Let's see here. Let's see, does that update things? It does look a little bit bigger to me. It does look, okay. So we are in my .bin folder here. And so we have FASM, which is the flat assembler. I use it for assembly language. And we have FASM-W, which is a it's the Windows editor for FASM, which I don't actually use very much, but I have it there. And we have chastecomp and chastehex. Now, chased comp, if I just type the name of chased comp, which is, I guess that's how you say it, it's chased comp, compares two files in hexadecimal. It shows an example of chased comp file 1, file 2 as just examples. Now, if I do chased hex, then we have welcome to chastehex, the tool for reading and writing bytes of a file. Um, so basically, it explains you can hex dump an entire file, read a single byte from the file, or write a single byte and address. Technically, you can write more than one byte with one command, which I may go into later, possibly. And so the other files are just set up for programming, like W64 loads my C development environment where I program C programs on Windows and compile them for Windows with W64 dev kit. So there's a lot of technical details here. Now I'm going to show you something. If I do chaste hex and I try to do open chastehex.exe, error 20 because the file can't open itself. But if I use it on chaste comp, then we see here. Now I can scroll through the terminal back to the top. So here is the actual contents of chastecomp. Some of this is the header created by Phasm. We see the DOS stub. This program cannot be run in DOS mode, which all executable files have on Windows. And it shows some things here. There's a lot about this format I don't understand. And you can see strings, no such file or directory, unknown uh, error opened. Okay, so those are text strings that were in the original assembly code that I put there. Most of it's binary code. We see that kernel 32.dll is here because it imports the Windows kernel, and we see that it uses close handle, create file A, exit process, get command line A. Um, yeah, let's see, get last error, get std handle, read file, write file. So you're seeing a lot of things, a lot of Windows specific stuff. Now, if I just use a standard old Windows dir command, we're going to see the size of chastecomp is 2048 bytes. The Linux version is actually smaller, but Windows executables are bloated and wasteful of space, unfortunately. It's still much smaller than the C version, which does basically the same thing. So, and chastehex is 2560, so it's like 2.5 kilobytes. And I only have 10 gigabytes free on this Windows device. A lot of games installed plus Windows 11 wastes so much space. But enough about how much I hate Windows. I'm on Windows very specifically because Windows is my throwaway OS, where if I'm doing something dangerous, it's going to happen on Windows because Linux is my real operating system. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to exit this terminal. I'm going to navigate, let's see here, trying to remember where did I put Castle of the Winds. Okay, so we have, let's see, okay, here it is, .wine. Okay, so because the emulator OTVDM is wine based, um, I'm emulating a 16-bit Windows on 64-bit Windows. So I only have one game in here basically, Castle of the Winds. So here's Castle 1. Okay, so you see here that I have some save files. I have a save file here, and I also have some other text files. Now these files are important. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to be using any of those files. I'm going to, let's see, what will we do? I think what I'll probably do is I'm just going to create a new save file. And yeah, that's what I'll do. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to launch castle1.exe, and it's going to start the game. Yeah, okay. Let's see, is it gonna work? Okay, here it is. I'm also gonna check the comments on my stream. Okay, no comments yet. Okay, well, hey, that's pretty cool. Okay, so Castle of the Winds, Part 1, A Question of Vengeance, version 1.1a, copyright 1989 through 1993 by Sadasoft, published by Epic Mega Games. So, but this message is old because the author later did release it into the public domain. This game is very old and it doesn't usually run without emulators. So here we have Castle of the Winds Part 1, A Question of Vengeance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new game, create a brand new save file, and then what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to hack that save file from scratch using the tools I wrote. I wrote chastehex and chastecomp. So we're going to start this new file here. So let's see here. We have some stats here. We have constitution here. We have, yeah, the actual stats chosen are just whatever I had last time. So the actual stats don't actually matter very much here. So let's just go. Is there a way to reset the stats? Is there a way? I don't know. Well, let's just change the gender to female and let's set the difficulty to experts only. Okay, that's what we'll do. What we'll do here is I'm just going to and let's just put my name. Let's just put my name Chastity. Okay, we're gonna play an experts only mode here. Okay, and let's choose a spell. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go with Magic Arrow because Magic Arrow is just a good spell. So here we have the game here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna save the game, and we have to choose a save file in which to save this game. So let's just choose. Let's see here. Where is a good place to save this? Okay, I don't want to put it in. Well, by default, it will just put it in the same directory here as the executable. That's good. That's totally fine. So let's just give this file a name. So we're just gonna name this hard or wait, or it's expert mode technically. Okay, yeah, actually, here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna call it Hexpert. Okay, just for fun, we're gonna name it Hexpert, like expert but hexadecimal. So, because this is experts only, and this video is for experts, people who are experts at computer math, like me. Technically, you don't have to be an expert. You can follow my instructions and copy what I do in this video, and you too can hack Castle of the Winds. So here's what we have here. You see, hopefully you can see it. We have 7 hit points and we have 5 mana points. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to see, can I cast a spell? Can I cast Magic Arrow? So we're just going to shoot an arrow at this spot on the map. Okay, the magic arrow explodes in midair. And what you will notice here is that my mana points have gone from 5 to 4. The maximum is still 5, but the current mana points are 4. So we look at this and we see, yeah, the mana points are 4. So we have lost 1 mana point by just shooting a random arrow. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do save as. But what we're going to do is we're going to, yes, let's just do, we're going to call it Hexpert 1. We're just going to add a 1 to this name of this file. So here's what we're going to do. So now we should have 2 save files. Let's confirm that there are 2 save files. Let's close this out here. Okay, yes, there are 2 files here. And what we want to do here, there's all these other files here too. What we want to do is we want to find out what's the difference between these 2 files. We know that a number somewhere in the game was changed from 5 to 4. Let's do dir. Let's look at all of these files here just to make sure we're doing this right. So what we're going to do is we're going to use chastecomp. So chastecomp, and we're going to let's do hexpert.cwg and hexpert1.cwg. Let's try this. Okay, very nice. So now what we see here is several bytes are different. Notice that many bytes actually changed. And honestly, I'm not even sure why there are so many bytes that changed in this. There's a lot of bytes here that have changed. But interestingly, notice the very first byte that changed is near the beginning of the file. So let's try something here. Let us, first of all, what we're going to do here is we're going to send this output to a text file. Okay, so we're going to run this command again, but then we're going to redirect the output to, let's see, we'll just name this file hexdump.txt. That's what we're going to call it. So it sends that output to a file. So now what we're going to do is we're going to find the text file, and we see in this text file the list of all these things. I'm going to make the text bigger so you can see this. So when you run chastecomp, what it does is it shows the name of both files that are being compared, and then it shows the address, the addresses that are different, and then it shows the bytes at that address in both files. So we see that at address 98, that's not 98, this is hexadecimal. So technically it's like 9 times 16 plus 8, which I'm sure I could probably do the math in my head, but that's actually not necessary right now, because we see that a number has changed from 5 to 4. So this could be our mana points here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to write mana with a question mark and save this file. So now that we have identified an address which may be the one that we want to change, how do we go about changing it? Well, it's not as hard as you think. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go to the terminal. Now we're going to use the program chastehex. And the file we're going to change is the first file, hexpert.cwg. And then we're going to read address 98. So we see it seeks to address 98, and then it displays that byte at that address. And we know it's 5 because we just saw it in the text file. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to run that same command again, but now what we're going to do, let's change that number. I'm going to show you something. If I change this number to 64 in hexadecimal, it has just changed the number in the actual file. So now is when we go back to Castle of the Winds. Now we are going to load the file. We're going to load hexpert.cwg. Notice how the mana changed to 100? That's because 64 hexadecimal is 6 times 16, which is the base, which is 96 plus 4. So 96 plus 4 is 100. Even though it looks like 64, it's actually 100. So if you don't know hexadecimal, this won't make sense. But basically what I did is I changed a number from 5 to 100. So let's try this again. Let's do magic arrow. The magic arrow. Now the mana has gone from 100 to 99. So yes, we have successfully hacked the current mana points. Notice that we have not changed the maximum mana points. Technically we can, but I'm not going to do that in this video. What I'm going to do here is we're going to go up here. We're going to go up to the dungeon here. Okay, so we have 100 mana points, which basically means we have enough mana to cast a lot of spells at the moment. So I'm going to save the game here. I am going to um, cast Magic Arrow and hit this kobold, and the kobold is dead. So the kobold is dead. Let's go around this room, make sure there's nothing else here, and there usually isn't. And then we're going to press G to grab the leather armor. Then we're going to go to the inventory. Then what we have to do, it's a suit of leather armor. It has a weight and a bulk. Then we have to put it in the armor slot. So now that I've done that, we see my armor value is 22 there. That's good. So we have one piece of armor, and we're going to save the game here. Now we see that I may have 98 um, mana points remaining, but I still only have 7 hit points, which means it's quite possible to die. So here we see that there's a rat here. So we're going to save the game, and then we're going to um, let's cast Magic Arrow again, and then oh, the giant rat is dead. And then let's cast this again. Okay, that's pretty cool. Um, Actually, that's not the example I was thinking of, because yes, I had no trouble with these rats. Okay, so here's what we're going to do here. What we're going to do here is we are going to go up here. We're going to go here. Okay, here is an uninjured goblin. We're going to save the game. We have 7 hit points. Now the goal here is to take damage so that we have less hit points, but we still live through it. So I missed the goblin. The goblin hits me. Okay, so now we see it's in red letter because we're critically low here because it's low hit points. So my hit points went from 7, which was the maximum, down to 5. So now that the hit points have changed, what we're going to do is we're going to save this new file as hexpert1.cwg. We're going to do that. So now that we have another save file, we're going to go back. We're going to compare. Okay, actually, let's see here. Well, okay, we'll just save this hex dump as well. You know what? It's totally fine to use the same file, or is it? I see. I'm second guessing myself. Um, Actually, let's just do hex dump 1. Let's just save a separate hex dump just for safety here. So now we have sent that. So what we're going to do here is this was the original hexpert hex dump there. But now what we're going to do is we're going to open the second hex dump. Wait, what? Okay, it's that. Okay, we're just going to have to go back to the Explorer so that I can just open this file quickly. So now here's hex dump 1. Now let's look here. Notice take careful notice here. In this hex dump, we see a lot of bytes. Obviously, there's a lot of bytes that have changed. We're not sure what all of them do. But near the beginning of the file, notice that a number in the first file was 7. In the second file, it was 5. So that leaves the question: is this the HP? That leaves the question open there. Is this the hit points value? Well, let's find out. So it's 9.4. So what we're going to do now, let's go back to our terminal. let's um, let's look at what address 9.4 contains with the program chastehex. So yes, it's 7 in the first file. So now what we're going to do is let's change the value of the hit points. So what I'm going to actually do here is I'm actually going to write 2 bytes. We're going to do FF, okay, yeah, we're going to do FF and then FF. We're going to write 2 bytes, both containing FF. Let's see what happens here. So notice that it wrote that bytes FF to address 94 and 95. So now let's see what happens when I load this this file here. We're going to load the first file, hexpert.cwg. And notice something. My hit points are now at -1. I have -1 hit points, which is very, very strange if you think about it. So what happens if I get hit again? Well, I don't know because the goblin died. Okay, let's go back to this. Let's go down to the next level. Oh, look. Chastity, experience 5 on experts only. Killed by a pit after 0 days at 00:08. Yeah, also you see that I was killed by a giant rat previously. So my hit points were negative, and that is not what we want. We don't want the hit points to be negative. So here's what we're actually going to do. What I'm going to do is we need to set it to a lower value. We need to set it to a lower value so that it won't go into the negative number range. So let's change this. Let's change this to 7F. So if we do FF for the first byte and then 7F for the second, because no, this is a little endian system here. So basically, the lower 8 bits is the first byte, and the upper 8 bits is the second byte. That's the way little endian works. Basically, that's just how, there's also big endian machines. Some CPUs use big endian. Intel uses little endian, and that includes Windows 3.1, which is released on Intel machines, but that's some details you probably didn't need to know or care about. So here's what we're going to do. We've died here, but let's reload the save file now that I've made that change. Look at my hit points here. My hit points are now 32,767. Notice that my maximum hit points is still technically 7 there. Yeah, that's weird. So if I was at max hit points, they would be less than my current hit points. So let's see here. Basically, I'm just going to ignore the money. Let's go down here. Let's see what we have. Ooh, look, there's a skeleton. It looks like I've taken some damage. See, I've lost a few hit points. But basically, I have so many hit points that it's going to take forever for anything to be able to kill me. That's what's crazy about this. So basically, I don't even need to be careful. Like, I can literally just play this game. I don't need to use weapons or armor or even spells because I basically have so many hit points I can't die. Oh, look, I've leveled up to level 2. Let's see, heal minor wounds. So what happens if I try to cast a spell to heal my hit points? Notice that it set me back to my maximum hit points. Isn't that wild? Healing myself actually brought my hit points down to the maximum. I just wanted to do that for trying. So I'm not going to save this file because here's what I'm actually going to do. What I'm actually going to do now is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to hack the maximum mana and the maximum hit points. And this is going to take a little bit of a process, but just stick around with me and you'll see exactly what I'm after here. So we have not saved anything new in hexpert.cwg. We know that the maximum hit points is 7 and the maximum mana is 5. So what we're going to do here, well, of course it was anyway. We changed some things, but address 94 and 98. So what we're going to do here is we're going to just hex dump the entire file of chastehex, and let's just call this, yeah, let's just do another hex dump file. Let's just do hex dump, okay, yeah, hex dump 2.txt. I'm just saving a different file as hex dump to make sure I don't lose any data. So now we have just done a hex dump there. So let's close this one. We're going to close this one. And what we're going to do here is we are going to open this hex dump in Notepad, mostly just so that I can make it big enough to see. Also, one thing you'll know, when I make it really big, it looks wrong. Okay, another thing you will notice is that in the recent update to chastehex, it also outputs the text on the right of the bytes. So we have the addresses on the left here like this. We have 16 bytes which are in hexadecimal format, and then we have the text that would be generated by certain ASCII bytes, and everything else is replaced with a dot just as a placeholder. We see here that the name of the character, which is the same as my name, Chastity, is here. So if I were to change this, it would, it would change my name in the game. So, so here's what we're going to do. What we're going to do here is we're just going to change the name here. Wait, that's right. Wait, changing this file doesn't actually do anything because this is not hex editor. This is Notepad. I forgot about that. Yeah, you can't actually edit things in here and have it affect the actual game. That's weird. So, but anyway, we're gonna look at addresses. We're gonna look at these addresses here. So this is where address 94 would be. This is the current, because you see this is 90. So this byte is, we have basically 90, 91, 92, 93. So this is the current hit points. And you see here that the next thing was 7. The very next bytes were 0700. So what would happen if we were to change that would be address 96. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to the terminal, and let's, starting at address 96, run that command again, and let's see how it affects the game. Let's see how it affects the game now. We're going to open the game again, and we're just going to load that file. We're going to load that file here, and you see now it's kind of hard to see it, but yes, my hit points really did go to, both the current and the maximum are now at 32767. So here I am with tons and tons of hit points basically. So once again, I could just easily, like, I can just wipe everything out in this game because I have so many hit points. What about the mana points? We want to change the mana points, right? Well, here's what we can do. First of all, this is why it's important to look at my previous hex dump. So when we were hacking the mana, okay, the mana is at address 98. The current mana is at 98. And that it was 5 and it became 4, but then we hacked it. So let's see what is at address 98 in our current. Well, not that. Let's go back to our other hex dump file. Okay, yeah, we have. So here, okay, well, let's go to address 98. So here we see, because oh wait, here it is. Oh, I see. So this is address 94, and yeah, this has not changed since I changed the file. But here we had 60. Now 60 is exactly what we would expect. We would see, yes, 96. 60 in hex is 96. So we know that's the current mana. But notice that the value to the right of that was at 5, the maximum mana. So let's try something. First, let's what we're going to do here. Let's we're going to run a command here. Let's look at address 98. It contains 60, and see what we're going to do here. Let's change that to FF7F. So we're going to change our current mana points, and we're going to reload the file. And we see now that 32767 is, yes, that's our current mana point. So what about the byte that was right after that? Because we saw in the hex dump that the byte after that was 505 there. So now what we're going to do here, let's just go to address 9A, doing the same process, and change those bytes to FF and 7F. Now, if we go back here and we reload the file, we see now that the mana as well as the hit points are at their maximum value. So basically, we have made an all-powerful character that just can't be defeated. It can cast as many spells as it wants, and it has so many hit points it can't really die. So that's just impressive. So basically, from this point on, just with changing those two values alone, you could just steamroll this game. Like, the bosses are not going to be any challenge once you have maxed out your stats to where you just can't die. So that's actually really cool. So notice that I saved a series of hex dumps here. Well, here's the beauty of this. So because we have saved the data and we know basically where this information is at. So okay, actually, so here's what we want to do. I'm going to go to my save folder here, and here is where I write some commands here. Basically, I had some previous commands from my previous file where I used chastehex to hack these specific addresses here. So what we want to do now is we want to well, let's look back at our history here. So, well, actually, I remember it. I don't even need to. Okay, I think I know what I'm going to do. So what we're going to do here is we're going to, because it was address 94. Okay, so we're going to do, so chaste hex, and let's just do chastity dot cw, okay, cwg at address 94, and then we're going to do 7f. Okay, wait. Yeah, actually, I'm just going to copy from here. So if we do this, okay, I need to add the proper spaces so it will work. So this command should change the hit points to, we're going to change the hit points to the maximum. Max out hit, I'm sick. I'm coughing. Okay. So then what we're going to do, let's write another command here. We are going to max out the mana points. So now this starts at address 98. So here's what we're going to do here. What we're going to do is we're just going to save a brand new save file, create a brand new game, create a brand new save file, and let's see if these commands work as intended. Okay, so let's go back to the game. Let's just start a brand new game. Yes, we'll abandon the game in progress. Let's just choose the defaults there. Okay, then we're going to save this game. Let's just name it as Chastity. So it's chastity.cwg. So if we go to our tools here, let's see, chastity.cwg. This now exists. So let's try out the commands I typed from my memory here. So first we're going to run this command that's supposed to max out the hit points. So let's go to our terminal here. Let's run this command. We've changed some bytes. So now we've changed the bytes. Let's reload chastity.cwg. And oh, look at this. The hit points have greatly increased. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, that's right. I may have done it. It wasn't quite the maximum possible. Okay, let me modify this command. Right, because it was, we wanted to do, yes, FF7F in this case. So that's what we wanted. We wanted to be able to do that there and do that there. So now here's what we're going to do. Let's copy this command and we are going to go to our terminal. Let's run that command, and we're going to change those bytes. Now let's run this command, and we're going to also use this command to max out the mana points. Okay, here we go. So now that we've run those commands, those bytes in that file will have changed. So now that we've modified that, we're going to reload the file, and look at that, 32767. If we look at our character stats here, we now see that our hit points and mana points are at 2 to the 15th power minus 1, the highest possible maximum value in a 16-bit signed integer. Now, if you don't know what a 16-bit signed integer, then you're probably not a computer programmer. I'm obsessed. I'm a computer programmer. I'm a gamer. So I know what these numbers mean. I know why it works as it does because I know the hexadecimal system. There are books about binary and hexadecimal. In fact, one I can even recommend, though I don't remember the title of it. But yes, what I'm hoping to do though with this video is I'm trying to show you the beauty of this game, both in terms of playing it, but also in terms of hacking it and how easy it is. Because this game was made a long time ago. It was made so many years ago, back in the 1990s, and it's a very simple game. It's like basically you're like some orphan, you don't have parents, and you have to go find out what happened to them and your godparents that were killed and all that sort of stuff. Um, and technically, I don't even need this armor. Like the armor is just kind of a silly thing, but like at this point, you could go through the game without even saving the game. You would probably never die, and you'd probably still win, just because with so many hit points and um, mana points, you're basically invincible. So that's the beauty of this. Now, this first level is always the same, but I'm going to show you something that makes Castle of the Winds very unique. It's actually a little bit like Minecraft, and here's what I mean. So let's save the game at this point, and let's go down the stairs. Notice that we're in this big room that's lit up. We can see everything. There's some armor in that room, all that good stuff. So that's one level. Now take a look at that and capture that image in your mind. Now, let's reload that exact same file. Let's go down the stairs again. We're in a smaller room. We're in an entirely different room. Because each time you play this game and each time you go down the stairs, even if you keep reloading and redoing, each time you get a different level. It's randomly generated dungeon levels here. Yeah. So basically, you can explore your way through these mines here, and you fight monsters, you find random items that somebody left, like somebody left their shoes here. What's up with these? These are some boots. What happens if I put the boots here? These are normal leather boots. I don't wear leather, but it's just a game. So yeah, basically, Castle of the Winds is a really cool game, but this game is exceedingly difficult too to play. I played it normally without hacking because I didn't know how to hack it back when I first played it on Windows 3.1. But as an adult with limited time who has decided I want to play through this game again, I have decided that, hacking it saves me time, which allows me to have fun with the game, experience the storyline, and yes, there is a storyline. There really is. I will probably do a complete playthrough of this game in future videos. But for right now, I want to keep this one relatively short because this video is not just meant to show Castle of the Winds, it's also meant to show how easy it is to hack games. Now here, let's save the game right here, and I'm going to show you something. So you see these commands here that I used here. Well, we still have one more thing we need to do. We want to add them to my script. So this is my batch script. Why isn't it loading? Wait, did I run the wrong command? Okay, here it is. So what we have here is we have these we have maxed out the experience and maxed out base stats. Now what we're going to do here is we are going to, yes, we're going, yeah, okay, yeah, we have that. We're going to copy this, but what we have to do here is this is a DOS batch file. We have to add rem because rem is a remark or a comment. It tells DOS or Windows that when running a batch script, you don't want that executed. So these are merely comments in a DOS batch file. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go back to our command prompt. Now that file is not actually in our current directory. So it's okay. So it's chastw-hex.bat. So what we're actually going to do here is we're going to go to, yes, save. Okay, and it's cotw-hack.bat. Wait a minute, wait, let me see here. Did I do a dot? Wait, did I enter the wrong? Oh, it's cotw-hex.bat. Okay, yes. It's cotw-hex.bat. Let's try running this. So we see now that it ran a series of commands. It ran chastehex commands to modify several things in the game. So now let's go back to the game and let's just reload this file exactly where it was, but now we've changed some things. Look, my experience points are maxed out here. My basic stats are maxed out, and our hit points and mana points are still maxed out like they already were. So basically, what I'm telling you is I spent hours of writing assembly language programs to provide me the tools to compare and edit files from the command line. Now, at no point did I open up XVI32 or HXD or WX hex editor. There are some good graphical hex editors. But instead, what I actually did was I was just running terminal commands. Let's exit the game, but if you look at this, we see all I did was run commands in a terminal. This is the Windows terminal, which is a lot like DOS. And we saw that I just ran so many commands. I ran so many commands, and I was able to hex dump files. I was able to edit individual bytes of files with chastehex. This is what I'm talking about, people. It just so happens that cheating at games like this happens to provide a very convenient way of making yourself all powerful in video games. Now, if you're seeing this video, in fact, let me check my comments. Oh, let's see here. Wait. Yes, let's reload this. Okay, yep. Yeah, it has my latest changes there. Okay, CWD hex.bat. Okay, there we go. That's what we want. So that's important. So let me check my comments here. Okay, so nobody has commented on my video. Let's change back to camera view. So you may wonder, how can you get these programs? Well, I have made them available in a variety of ways. But before I show you where you can find them, let me just give you a brief look for people just watching the video right now who are at a TV or phone but not at a regular computer. I just want to show you a little bit of the source code here. So for this purpose of the video, I was using the Windows version of chastehex and chastecomp. So let's go back to desktop view, and let's, okay, I need to open my file explorer. We're going to look at the source code here. So here is chastecomp. We see the executable file here, but you see that there are some source files here. We have main.asm. We have these files. Can I open all three of these? Can I open 3 text files at one time? I'm just going to see if it works. I've never tried to open 3 text files at one time. Okay, well, it mostly worked. 2 of them opened. So basically here, this is an assembly language program I wrote. This is assembly language. It's a Windows program, and it's long. There are a lot of assembly instructions. I have comments trying to explain it, but if you don't know assembly language, this isn't going to make much sense. But I wrote this one instruction at a time, figuring it out. There's a lot of information that went into this. And this is the program from Chasecomp. And then this is simply a utility file that checks whether there's an error opening files. But okay, here's this chaselib w32. Now this is my own library of functions for outputting strings, such as when it tells you the hex stuff has to display information, obviously. So it has to display text of strings to the screen. And this converts numbers into strings and then it outputs the actual numbers by converting them to a string and then outputting them as a string. And then this function here, strint, is what takes the command line arguments in hexadecimal as either addresses or bytes to put at that address, and it interprets them and converts them into the actual numbers. So those four functions, and now these just output spaces and lines basically. So this is like the bulk of the code right here is my input and output routines. But here's the beauty of it. The beauty about computer programming is you don't even have to understand all of this. You actually don't. You actually don't have to understand it necessarily. But there is one thing I want to do here. While I'm here, we need to make sure that I have all my Git repositories up to date. So what I'm going to do here, let's just maximize this, and I'm going to do git pull. Wait, I'm not in the right repository. Okay, yeah, I need to go into Chastity Code Cookbook. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to do git pull. Okay, everything is already up to date. That's very good to know. So here's what we want to do though. I will show you there's actually a variety of ways that you can obtain these programs I wrote. Now, the first and most basic way to do this, for example, would be to go to the Flat Assembler forums, because Flat Assembler is the assembler I use, and there's this genius guy, Thomas Greistar, who made it. He has a YouTube channel, a GitHub repository, all that good stuff. And on the message board or the forum, what you'll see here is, let's go to, there's Windows, Linux, there's DOS. Since this concerns Castle of the Winds, and I'm using the Windows version right now, let's go to the Windows forum of the Flat Assembler. And you see here that the Windows version of Chasecomp is here, and I wrote a little bit about how it works, why you would use it. There's the source code. There are the files that it depends on, basically. It's actually pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty sweet actually. Yeah, that's wild. So yeah, so you can get the source code, you can copy paste it, you can download it straight from here. That's one way. And let's go back and let's look at chastehex, because I also have the source code here on the forum. I explained about it. There's some cool stuff. Yeah, so there's a lot. It shows how it can hex dump a file. And I also got a lot of feedback on this too. People had ways of how I can, people were trying to say how you can save 1 byte, but I cared more about the clarity of code rather than, just, you know what I mean? I cared about the clarity of the code and wasn't just going to start using bitwise operations just to save a few bytes, because I care about it being readable. But here's what you might want to look at. If you go to my GitHub repository, let's see here, github.com So GitHub and GitLab, I also have it on GitLab, but let's take a look. I have some repositories here. So we see here that there's a repository for chastehex and there's a repository for chastecomp. So if you look at the repository for chastehex, it's chastity's hexadecimal tool, it explains how you can compile the C version. And yes, the source for the C version is here, and you can compile the C version for chastehex on any platform, which is nice. You know, the C version is not that big. It's not as complicated as the assembly version, but it does work anyway. But if you want the assembly language version for your platform, well, I have already made that available. So here we have the Linux version, which is just chastehex, and then we have the Windows version, which is here, basically. Chastehex.exe. That's interesting because it says last commit date was last month, but it was recently I uploaded it. That's kind of strange. But yeah, you can download the Windows version there, the exe file in the bin folder. So you can totally just download the executable. You don't have to assemble it. You don't have to look at the source code. But if you want to look at the source code, you just go to the ASM. Let's see here. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. The ASM. So Windows. So all of the source code. So the source code, uh, as well as the executable. Yes, 2 days ago. This is the one. Is all here. So you can see my entire source code, but you can also download the executable. So if you want chastehex and you just want to use my script, for example, to modify Castle of the Winds yourself, you can totally do that. That's one thing you can do. And the Linux version is also available. I even have a DOS version, so that's cool. So chastehex is what you need to actually edit the bytes and hack the game. But if we go to the chastecomp repository, the layout's basically the same. It tells briefly how to use the program, but if you go to the ASM, you can see that for Linux and Windows, I haven't done DOS yet. It's not as relevant, but you can like download the Windows version of the program, so you can the same exact programs I'm using on my machine are written in assembly language. You can download them, you can put them in your path, you can use them, and you can hack Castle of the Winds or other games. So using chastecomp and chastehex, you can totally do that. You can hack these games. So let's review. I'm going to close my web browser here, and I'm just going to go back and I'm going to explain back with my camera view. So in this video, which has gone about an hour at this point, I've covered a lot. Using entirely new save files with Castle of the Winds, what I did for both the hit points and the mana points is I save a save file at one state of the game, and then I either lose hit points or mana points, and then save it as a second file. So we see which of those numbers have gone down. I lost hit points, then a number had to have gone down somewhere in the save file. If I spend a mana point by casting a magic arrow, that number also has to go down by 1. So I basically saved 2 files with minor differences, used chastecomp to tell me which bytes differed, and in this particular case with Castle of the Winds, those addresses were near the beginning of the hex dump. So a lot of those bytes changed, but they weren't relevant. Now, some of those bytes, what were they? I don't know, because they probably had something to do with like time, like timers that constantly are running a program. Because a lot of times there are timers, things that constantly are randomly generating, like randomly generated levels that the program is processing in the background that aren't relevant. But we found our addresses of where the mana points and hit points were stored. And then using those locations, we figured out that the maximum hit points and the maximum mana points were in close proximity to those addresses where the current of those stats were. So then, by using chastehex, I was able to write specific bytes at specific addresses to max out the stats of that game, basically. So basically, what I did is very highly skilled game hacking because I first wrote these tools. I didn't even need to write them in assembly language. I didn't need to do that. I'm just doing that to show off that I'm learning assembly language and I'm really excited about it. The C version basically does the same thing. In fact, I actually need to improve the C version, not in terms of function, but how the code looks, because I really want to publish a separate book, specifically for the C version of these programs and explain how they're used. Like, I want to write a book on this topic, not just record a 1 hour video on it. I want to do so much more than what I'm doing here. Also, that comment's just spam. I get those a lot. But basically, I covered a lot in this video. See, cheating in a game is easy if you know hexadecimal and binary. And it's also possible to find what are called trainers or other tools that let you cheat at video games. That's true. You don't have to know computer programming to cheat at video games. But if you are a programmer and you have written tools for yourself, like I have, that can compare and edit files, you can hack games running batch scripts or bash scripts, for example, shell scripts on Linux. So you can edit save files of games in a scripting language for whatever operating system you're on. And that's a beautiful thing because that allows you to do a lot of really cool things in games. Now, keep in mind, like I said in my previous video on this topic, if you try to use this on modern video games, it won't work quite as well because modern video games, they're more hack resistant because they use compressed and encrypted data, and some of them don't even have save files. So, for example, if you are playing a multiplayer game, the data is sent to and from a server, and also cheating at multiplayer games is generally bad and considered unethical. But cheating in single player games is something that I do for fun. And in fact, I spend more time hacking the games than I do actually playing them because it's more about the experience of like, look at me, I'm mathematically informed enough to know how to hex edit a game and change bytes and do things in the game. So it's just fun, Doing a little bit of hacking and reverse engineering is fun, especially when it involves video games that I loved as a child. Castle of Winds is one of my all-time favorite games. Play it on an 80286 processor with Windows 3.1. Man, I tell you, those were the days. It's an old game. It's highly hackable. And in the future, I could probably show you the basic same process using graphical tools because not everybody likes to run commands in command line because you might notice, well, look, I'm using a hex editor from the command line and a hex comparer, but notice how I was redirecting the output of those files to a text file and opening in Notepad. Now, why was I doing that? Because yes, the goal is to do things with the terminal, but unfortunately, scrolling in the terminal to look at the entire hex dump was a little bit inconvenient. And the fact that you can redirect any the output of any commands to a file is a very beautiful thing. So that allows you to keep track of data. So now that I know this, I'm able to basically hack this game to my heart's content. And I've hacked the stats, the hit points, the mana points. I could hack the money if I really wanted to, but it's not really necessary because my character is so powerful already. Other things in the game could be hacked. You could even hack the armor, but it would take some more in-depth process. It would probably take a few hours to identify, okay, which bytes affect this piece of armor, and it's just not relevant because you get better armor as the game progresses naturally. Um, But I covered a lot of information in this video. I hope that there's somebody out there who knows what this game is, or at least appreciates the programs I wrote to help people hack video games. But there are also other uses for chastehex, and keep in mind that chastehex is the real star of the program here because it can hex dump a file and it can also read and write bytes of a file at specific addresses. Chastecomp is a separate program meant to be a companion to chastehex to help me find where those bytes are that differ. But the same process of hacking can be done without the tools I wrote. There are other tools, both proprietary and open source, that you can use, and I may even show them in future episodes as I continue my Castle of the Wind series. Let me know if you're interested, if I should do more of these videos, or does nobody care and I should stop doing videos about Castle of the Winds? Because I have more to share, but I just want to know if people are interested. Anyway, excuse me. I am sick, and it was very hard to record this video. But I've been waiting for a time when I wasn't sick and I felt well, and that hasn't happened for a while. So rather than waiting till I'm in perfect health, I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna wing it. I'm just gonna record my Castle of the Winds video, hope that somebody gets some benefit from it. So I'm gonna be sharing this video on my usual platforms, and let me know if you have any interest in computer programming or hacking video games or want to play Castle of the Winds or something like that, because it's a great game and it has a cool storyline based on Norse mythology. That's all I have to say for now. Leave me your questions, comments. Let me know also. Is there another game? You have a favorite game that you would like me to try to hack? Because I do like to hack video games sometimes, just for fun, just for the fun of it. And each game is a whole different experience in terms of how easy it is to hack. Theoretically, any of them can be hacked, except multiplayer server side games, obviously. You can't really hack those, and you should not because it's against the terms of service. Just saying. So, as always, be excellent to each other and party on, dudes.